We're going to run this class. After the class, we're going to look at we're going to do some examples to actually complete the whole course. So JavaScript function is a block of code designed to perform specific tasks. So if a function is designed, are written blocks of code, statements of code that are designed to actually perform a specific task. So the JavaScript function is executed when something invokes it. So when you write the function is executed when you call or invoke that function. An example of the function is what we can see below. We have a function called my function, which is the function has two parameters, p1 and p2. It's returning p1 times p2. So your function is just a block of codes or statements designed to perform a specific task. So why do we use JavaScript function? JavaScript function makes our code reusable. So you can declare it once and use it in many places, multiple times. You can use it in a different part of your code. So it makes it also makes our program easier, as each small task divided into functions. So in beginning the last project, you divide put into simple and easy tasks, and then execute each of these tasks using a function. So functions are also increase readability. So how do you declare JavaScript function? You can declare a function. So a JavaScript function is declared with a function keyword. So you write a function keyword like we see in our first slide, followed by the name of the function, then a parenthesis. So the function name can contain letters, digits, underscore, and $sign, which the same naming convention we have, the same naming rules and convention for variables. The same name conventions also apply to that of functions. So the code to be executed by the function is now placed in the curly bracket. So the syntax for JavaScript function is the function keyword, the name of the function, then parentheses, and then you have your open and closing curly brackets where you write the codes to be executed. Sure, function parameters are listed inside the parentheses. So if you have parameters in the function, they are written in the parentheses. We're going to see an example at the end of this particular lecture. So function expression can be hoisted. So whenever you write it, if you write your function below the code, below the code that calls the function, and if you declare a function below the code that call the function is hoisted upwards. So the function goes up. So declare the function before a function is called, takes the declaration upwards, so it is hoisted. We'll see an example at the end of this lecture. So function parameter, there are two kinds of parameters. JavaScript function will have the default parameters and rest parameter. So in JavaScript, parameters on the function default to undefined. So if you don't give your parameter a default function, you call that function, if no value is specified for that particular parameter, it defaults to undefined. However, in some situations, it might be useful to set a different default parameter. For example, in this case, we have a function with a function name multiple. So we are giving b a default parameter of 1. So in calling function multiple, if you are calling function multiple without passing an argument for b becomes 1. So the another type of special parameters we have in parameter is a rest parameter. Now the rest parameter allows us to represent an indefinite number of arguments as an array. So I have a function called form a and b. So it's returning a plus b. Now you call that function, you can see we're passing a as 1, a as 2. In the other case, we're passing a as 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. The function is expecting 2 parameters, and then we're passing about 5 arguments. So where your argument is a number of arguments is predictable, we use a rest parameter. So we're going to see an example of a rest parameter at the end of this video, but just know that two special kinds of parameters are default parameters and the rest parameter. Function invocation, which is also called function call. So the brackets operator is used to invoke or call the function. The function argument are the values received by the function when it is invoked. So the what you set as parameter when you declare the function, you pass an argument to the present parameter. So inside the function, the arguments, the parameters behave as a local variable. So whatever you pass in as parameter is local to that function and only recognized within the function. So returning to when JavaScript reaches a return statement in your function block, execution block, JavaScript reaches a return statement, the function will stop executing. So the return statement now denotes that the function has ended. Any code after return is not executed. So function often compute a return value. The return value is returned back to the caller. So wherever the function is called for, the return value is returned back to the caller. For in this case, because for example, we have a function called a and b with parameter a and b. So it's returning a times b. So what it means that variable x is calling the function, my function, with parameter of a being 4 and b being 3. So whatever you return when you are declaring the function of this a times b becomes what is returned back to variable x. So x becomes the return value of my function So in function, how do you declare a function? In declaring the function, you use a function keyword, and then the name of the function in our case. See the name of the function name. I'm going to call this function name, and then parentheses with curly braces. So in our case, let us assume we're writing a function that calculates our BMI. So we said the declaration of function is that use a function name, and then the name of the function, and then parentheses, and then curly braces. That's how to declare a function. A function can also have parameter. So function can have parameter. So in calling this function, all you need to do is PMI, and then the name of the function, and then curly braces. So why this is function declaration, is function invocation, or we say we are calling our function. The name of our function is, in our case, is PMI. Now, we said we want to calculate what the function that calculates our PMI, given our width and height. So we pass in a function parameter. So in our case, we're passing in height. How do you calculate PMI? So let us even see what is function. Let us log console.log. Let's log our width and height. So I'm going to test this in the console of our browser. So I'll copy and go to our browser and test it at the console of our browser. So in this, you can see we're declaring a function with name BMI, and then the function is expecting a height and width parameter, and the curly braces where you write all your blocks of code or statements that need to be executed by the function. So if I run this, so how do I call this function? You call the name of the function and braces. Now let me pass in our height as, for example, 1.74 and our width as 65. So what the function is doing is just to log our width and height. You can see it's just logging 65, 1.74, which is what we pass. So in calling this function, these are called arguments. So we are passing in the width height argument and then the width argument. So going back, we can now say that you can agree with me that in the function, use a function keyword, then the name of the function, and parentheses and curly bracket. And in the curly bracket, you write your blocks of codes or statements which will be executed by the function. Okay, so like I said, in our case, we are writing with BMI, and so we declare a variable called BM, for example, and then BMI is width. So whatever we pass in as our width, which is our parameter width, we're dividing it by whatever we're passing as height times height. Times height. And then returning BM. So we have calculated our BMI, or returning it. In function return, returning a function, whatever that is executed after this console.log, I'm logging, thank you. I did not get here. Not get here. Whatever that comes after the return statement is not executed. So the return statements actually specify or describe the end of the function. And so it returns the value you are returning back to the caller. So let's take this, for example, and take it to our console as usual. So I'm going to clear everything on the console. So now this is our function. The function is the function we pass in a height parameter and a width parameter. And then the BMI is calculated by saying height divided by, I think we made a mistake here, it should have our bracket here. Okay. So at the end of the day, we're returning the BMI. So whatever we're calling, if I keep the value, for example, called X, and this X, the value of X is BMI 1.74 and then 65. So whatever that is returned from our function BMI is returned back to the caller. In this case, our caller is our caller, and so this is returning the value of the BMI back to X. So if I do this, X becomes our BMI, which is 21.46. So that is a returning function. So return whatever value you return in the function is assigned to the caller. Then in this class, we are going to be looking at the two special parameters. We have two special parameters, which are default parameter and rest parameter. So let's write a function. For example, a function, to declare a function, is a function name, the function keyword, and the name of the function. So this time, let's say what do multiply, and then your parentheses, and then curly braces. So between the curly braces, you write your function, your function codes, your line of codes that will be executed. So this is function declaration. Now, when writing your parameter, we have A, for example, and B. If I return A times B, so in calling this function, all I need to do is to multiply and then passing my A. Assumption A is 2 and B is 3. So if I save this and then let me run this node index.js. Okay, so the caller function, I can give this a variable X is equals to this, and then let's log s, console.log, let's log s. So if I come back to my console, it gives me 6, 2 times 3 is 6. If I do this same thing on my on my console, browser console, for example, let's go to console and paste the same line of code to get the same answer. So X is 6. Now, supposing I pass in B without a parameter. So I've passed in argument 2, which stands for A. No value is passing for B. So when an argument is not passing for a particular parameter, it's assumed to be undefined. So currently we'll say that our B is undefined. And if I run this, it should return an error for me. It says not a number. So the default parameter helps us to set the default value for a parameter when no argument is passed for that parameter. So to pass a default parameter, what we just need to, for example, what we need to do is just to pass in, when we are defining the parameter, passing the default value for that parameter. So eventually, if b is not given, b is assumed to be 3. So if I call this again, we're going to still have 6. So if I pass in my b, if I pass in argument for b, for example, this is 8, so b becomes 8. So in this case, I'm going to get 8. I'm going to get 2 times, which is 16. So if I copy this to a console, I should have the same answer. So what I've done is just to make my default value for b to be 3. So the value of b is 3 when no argument is passed for b. However, when an argument is passed for b, the value of b assumes that argument be passed. So this is called, in this case we said, this special kind of parameter is called a default parameter. So the last special kind of parameter we have is a rest parameter. The rest parameter type also represents an indefinite number of arguments as an array. So let us see an example. I'm going to pull this. Now, so to declare a function, we use a function keyword, and then the name of our function is still going to use the same name as multiply, and then this. Now, we said that the rest parameter pos represent an indefinite number of arguments as an array. So if I'm going to be calling this array, I'm going to be calling this function, which in my case is multiply. Now I have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So whatever the number of function is, so I want to be able to represent this particular argument as an array. So what I do is just to use my rest parameter, which is 3 dots, and let's say a. If I log a, let's say console.log a, let's look at what it will give us. So if I save this and then call this function, we're going to have an array with 2, 3, 4, 6, 7 as the elements in the array. So you can see. So our arguments, the whole arguments is being represented as an array. So you likely use this kind of rest parameter when you are not definite about the number of arguments you will need. So if I do this, if I you can also pass into parameter. Let's have a, this is p, and this is a. So in calling this function, if I log console.log a and then console.log b. So to better understand the logs, I can say, let's call this a equal to, and then b equal to. So if we log this, our first parameter is a, which represents the first parameter in the argument, which is 3. While our b is a rest a parameter which represented as an array from the argument. So from 3 to 7 is our b, and will represent as an array. So let's run it and see what it's giving us. Sorry, below the index.js. Okay, not the same. Doesn't looks okay, so I have an order here. So this goes to be, so that here b is equal to. Okay, so let's run it. So you can see. So our A is 2, our B comes as an array with 3, 4, 6, 7 as the elements of the array. So this is how to actually use a rest parameter.